All right. They know who we are.
Well, most of us have heard him, you see, because when that timer goes off, Mr. Rue barks incessantly until there is food in the belly. And I think you might be the human embodiment of that, Lacoste.
Could be. We do look alike.
Very round faces. Trent, how about you, buddy? Welcome back. How you doing?
Great. Yeah.
Looking good?
I mean, unusual. I'm so used to like grinding right through the games lately with the online playthroughs. So I had to like kind of sit back, chill a little bit. It took some time to, just think about this series. Should be fun. The grudge match. I can't believe it's been 11 days since that best of 5. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the whole COVID life is like super slow and like it's only been so long. And then other times you're like, oh my God, it's been like 9 months of this. So I don't know. It's a weird time bubble that we're in these days.
It seems like Liquid has a couple of grudge matches these days. No? Now it's like Liquid Navi, definitely some grudge there. Liquid now Viking GG, certainly some grudge there. Liquid Secret, maybe not quite a grudge match, but we've seen them play so many times now that there's some history there. Maybe
and then the best one, Liquid Alliance.
A lot of Dota, and then Liquid Alliance. Is that one really still a rivalry though? In my head it is, but I don't know if it really is for the players.
I just think the two lineups are fairly similar with the org and everything. It fits nicely.
Yeah, okay.
I think we see a lot of these grudge matches because like we're just playing matches inside one region. We didn't see regions playing against each other, so you need to create rivalry.
That's true.
To have something prepared, like, it's Alliance against Liquid. It's Liquid against Team Secret. They're just going to get stomped. It's Liquid against the Navi. They just played in ESL 1 Germany Grand Finals, and we're going to see it again. But there's some always good stories to talk about, like what happened in the past. And for me, it seems like time is flying, even during these COVID times where there's constant Dota happening. There's a lot of Tier 2 scene being covered by some tournaments, and there's this like teams like Liquid, teams like Viking, who are actually doing extremely well lately, and glad to see that. But I also want to see some inter-regional matches where we're gonna get like the real test, how some of these European teams are actually strong.
Yeah, how will Secret match up against China's best, for example? That's a question that's been burning in my brain for a little while now, and we might not get an answer to for a little while still to come. So maybe a little more of an org grudge match here. Liquid, Navi, two very long-standing esports organizations with a lot of history. Maybe the Pride's more on that side of it. Either way, I imagine Liquid we should consider favorites coming into this one. Correct?
Yeah, considering the way they played during ESL 1 Germany, they made it look pretty easy, even though it was 3-1. I just felt like Liquid could won all 3 games, and they made it look easy. I think Liquid right now is playing very solid Dota, where they know what they're doing. They're swapping their roles a bit, something that other teams are not experimenting with, where they're just swapping things around with their position 4 and 3, giving one of those two a farm priority, and I like what I see.
Yeah, they have some pretty tricky drafting and laning shenanigans, that is too. As like you never know if Boxy's gonna like go mid with like a Slardar or a Mars or something, and then they drafted the Lone Druid the other day, and even though they didn't win, they still utilized it as like a flex pick where they ended up giving it to Mikke instead, and Koifa played a different hero. So I think they're kind of trying to push their boundaries a little bit as well when it comes to their current strategies.
Absolutely. What about key heroes in this series? I'm looking back at our historical data. It looks like at the end of ESL 1 Germany, the best of 5 between Navi and Liquid. Navi prioritized Phoenix a whole hell of a lot, played it in 3 out of 4 games, and it looks like Liquid played a good bit of Rubik and a little bit of Storm Spirit, as well as some Wisp. So
I think Oracle's probably the most contested between these two.
Okay, looks like Oracle was banned in a lot of the games. I think it was only played once in that entire series, game 2, and it was in the hands of Team Liquid.
Yeah, Navi took their Phoenix instead, but I feel like Oracle seems to be popping off for everybody right now, but especially these two teams. I'm always expecting to see the Oracle.
Yeah, also, like you mentioned, Rubik, this hero is extremely good at position 4. Like, whenever I see Rubik in a lineup, it's a good Rubik game, There's always going to be a spell to steal, maybe not the best ones, but overall just a solid position 4 hero that scales well. And what else is there? Like, I see a lot of Lina bans coming out from Team Liquid. They really dislike to play against that hero.
One second, though, Lacoste. On Rubik, don't Liquid mostly play it as a position 5?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Most of the time, they just play it as position 5. Old Virtus.pro, when Solo was on it, they're like the second team that only plays it as position 5 most of the time. And I mean, Insania is level 25 Rubik, and he really plays it well.
Yeah, it's like normally in a draft, I would say, like, in a vacuum, I don't want the 5 Rubik. I like him way better on the 4. But when Liquid does it, it never feels that bad. It feels like he gets value out of it. He gets these good trades, doesn't worry about throwing his body at the cause, that kind of stuff. It's a very different style of Rubik.
Yeah. During Dota Summit, in the grand finals against Viking, Liquid, I think they experimented a bit too much. In one of those games, they had like Dragonite off lane, they had Gyrocopter mid, something that usually you don't see for a reason. I think I think they drafted themselves a very bad draft. Also, you mentioned which heroes should we be looking out for. Definitely Koik was Lone Druid, Storm Spirit. Even though, like Viking, they let them pick Lone Druid 2 times in a row, and they beat them. They figured it out how.
Yeah, but the Brood also fits in that category. We will see Liquid pull it out on occasion when it seems like a 10th pick opportunity.
I always like the Bat Rider too, and especially like Navi. Like, you know that General wants to play it. I feel like that's one of his best heroes. And then it's also something that they like to give to Quakefa in the mid lane on Liquid, but it's not something they've been running quite as often anymore. I see that they actually lost with it in one of their games versus Navi, but that was with the mid bat versus the mid life stealer. So pretty nice call there from Navi.
Yeah. So what about Navi? What has VTune been playing recently? I know he's got a couple signature heroes. He's
Life Stealer.
Is it Life Stealer? Void as well, right? VTune's been playing a fair amount of Faceless Void. I guess not uncommon. He's in the meta right now, but very competent Void player. So I would expect that carry to be contested, at least from a banning perspective.
I think you just straight up ban Lifestealer against VTune in the first phase. I would not be surprised, because pretty much if you just look at the Dota buff, like Navi, what did they pick? Oh, it's a Lifestealer, like in 7 out of 10 games.
Yeah, there you go.
It's impressive because like there's so many good ones right now that feel like almost free wins. Like, I don't know, like you get like that good Mag Void or that Mag PA or something. You're just like, oh yeah, this game, like we have a really high chance of taking this one just based off of that. And they're just like going Lifestealer, you know?
He has a wide enough hero pool, though. A hard carry player to totally ban against. Talked about the Void, but even in recent match history, we've got Spectre, Anti-Mage, Drow, PL. How do you feel about PL right now, Lacoste? I feel like he's come up in a couple of the recent games Trent and I have cast, and we're often not excited to see him picked up. He just feels like the last carry left that can still sort of do something.
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, this is a carry patch, don't get me wrong. Like, you usually see carries being banned out, prioritized, first phased, and yeah, sometimes you don't know what you can pick in terms of like there's only like 4 good carries left in the pool, so we're just gonna go with Phantom Lancer. Also, I think Phantom Lancer needs to be left for the last pick because you need to utilize his strength, and they don't have enough AoE spells to deal with him. Still can carry some of the games, but has a bit of different timings than other heroes. Like I've seen people most of the time when he's picked just skipping the Fusel Blade as the first item, maybe getting like Yasha, sometimes even Manta, and then going back to the Fusel Blade. So you can still take a fight even without the Fusel because he has a weird power spikes.
Yeah, we've seen the exact same thing. First item diffusal is a little too... You've got to be rolling really hard. If you're destroying the lane, you can get it really early. I guess it's still good, but a lot of games, there's enough roots, there's enough silence and stuff that you need a reset. Because you can't really level up Doppelganger until later, right? Isn't that part of his weird power spike bottleneck? Like,
I mean, you max Doppelganger and your passive and just, continue to farm. If they gank, you try to buy some time. Spirit Lance is just an awkward spell to max.
Yeah, okay.
It's a weird spell. It used to feel so broken with like the Coddle PLs.
Yeah.
And then it had the
I was
Aghanim
really thinking of it as this awesome spell, but you're right. It's just the kind of there. You put a value point in it. It's got a slow on it, I guess. That's cool.
We do have word from the field. It was a coin flip win for Liquid, who took second pick, and Navi chose Dire.
Wow, surprise. So Liquid took last pick overall. So, Brood territory. No surprise. So, what can we get as a final decision? And here we go, folks. We've got the draft starting right on time today for Epic League. I love it. Oracle first ban alongside the Doom taken out from Liquid. So there's that hotly contested Oracle. Now talk to me about this Timbersaw ban, though. Is Timbersaw really that scary of a core right now?
Usually not, but when Boxy's playing it, Liquid really knows how to utilize the strength of a Timbersaw, hitting the timings with the items to play around the Timbersaw. Like, you need to play with the team. Timbersaw is not that hero that you just, leave alone. And it also allows Team Liquid to play a bit differently, where like Timbersaw is a great solo offlaner, so your position 4 can do so much, usually paired up with the Earth Spirit when they have a Timbersaw. Yeah. So he makes a lot of stuff happen on the map.
You can go for like faster carries and mids, right? Like they played Visage last time versus Yellow Submarine when they had the Timber, right? That kind of an idea. But then you can also like kind of use the Timber to make a lot of space, where they've done it with like AM and Storm too, when they played Viking GG. So Timber just opens up so many other possibilities.
This is the anti-carry hero. Like, you pick Slardar against any melee in the laning stage, he's going to be great. And another classic Team Liquid pickup, Io, a lot of sustain. Slardar is just great overall hero. I think in this patch, it comes down to whose carry is stronger. Like, we're going to have that one super overfarmed carry, Battle Fury. We're going to throw Solar Crest on him, Empower, Overcharge, like all of that. If they use minus armor on your carry, my carry is stronger.
Yeah.
This combo is picking up some steam too. The Io Slardar. Liquid have been playing it. Navi have been playing it. Liquid had to play versus it when they played versus Brame. So I think this is one of the ones that we're seeing like a little bit more often, because they have really cool synergy together, right? Like, they, number one, if Slardar is starting a fight somewhere by himself, you can bring in the Io +1. They have the movement speed bonus in the river that Io can also just utilize with the Slardar.
Stupid.
Slardar maxes bash, so more attack speed is always just good for this guy. That's where most of his damage comes from in the first place.
100%.
So a lot of stuff to go with together.
Yeah,
this is a sick combo.
All of his weaknesses.
Like, just providing Slardar with the attack speed from Overcharge, he gets like Gloves of Haste, Power Treads. It's insanely strong. You can almost perma-bash people even in the laning stage.
Yeah, and it's anti-BKB, which pretty much every carry wants at one point or another. Maybe not every carry, but most of them. The bash cuts right through. So good stuff.
Now, do you bother banning Lifestealer? Or are you happy to just have Slardar versus the Lifestealer and say go for it?
I think that's a block pick.
Yeah,
I think Liquid will not ban it. I think Insania wants to see how well this is going to work against the Lifestealer live in action.
I feel like they probably won't take it, yeah. That will be my assumption as well. But that means Spectre is taken up by Navi. Oh, yeah, get rid of the Spectre. That could have been kind of bad. Yeah, try and leave that in for yourselves, and they just pick it next, and they have Io Spectre Slardar.
Yeah, they could even ban out like a Nature's Prophet here or something. They're really prioritizing these global presence heroes that pair really nicely with the Wisp. And Slardar's not global, but the movement speed, as you talked about, he's scary. They will take out PA, another good combo with the Slardar, minus armor, heavy physical damage, big-time Roche options, natural synergy. Not for long. Are Liquid going to ban it here?
Well, they have first pick. They could just take it.
True.
They could. Yeah. I mean, it also, having Slardar in the team opens up the earlier Roche, and sometimes the other team just, relies on taking the Roche for things to work out for them. But the Slardar's that anti-Roche lineup carrier.
Yeah. Gets a lot done. Yeah, I mean, what are other big carries left right now in our carry patch? Sven's still in, and Void's still in, right? Who else? I mean, Anti-Mage is still in.
PL. Terrorblade. Terrorblade.
You really love that PL, huh?
I'm just saying, we're getting into PL territory, boys. That's what I'm talking about. Look how many carries are banned out. Another one's about to get removed right now.
Now, mind you, Liquid could also be thinking about the Lifestealer for themselves, because that's also a pretty good hero when it comes to these like Slardar IO combos. But they can't really just like pick Lifestealer unless they're going to ban Sven. If they ban Sven and pick Lifestealer, then they'll just take Faceless Void on Navi. So that doesn't really look like an option for them.
Ursa is dead, right, boys? They actually banned the Death Prophet, surprisingly. But Ursa is just kind of long gone. I haven't seen him in a while.
Not necessarily. In certain situations, like when all other carries are gone from the pool, you might still go for Ursa.
And for Liquid with Wisp, I mean, that could open up like a gyrocopter also. Don't see him as much, but with the Wisp, it's still pretty scary. I like the Pango, though. More Roshan control alongside the Slardar. Some really good team fight. A hero they know well. Comfort pick.
I mean, good for the Rubik, though.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
You got to draft for yourself, though, Trent. You can't draft it to avoid the Rubik. You know, you got to play to your strengths.
This is a really tough call. Do you take one of the position ones now, and so that you get the matchup that you want, or do you try and take a 5 that's just good versus the IO +1? Like Wyvern's kind of okay here because it gives you like magic piercing with the curse versus the Pango. Maybe that'll save you at some point, and then you have the IO. But then there's also still Disruptor.
Yeah, I was about to say it's such a good disruptor game against the IO, against this Pangolier. Also, you said it, Faceless Void still in the pool. Great against any kind of relocate plays where you can just set things up with the Chronosphere. But I'd still prefer if they get something like a disruptor. I think it's a hero that Navi really plays well with and suits their playstyle.
Yeah, is the support Clockwork still viable? I haven't seen that as much recently either.
It is.
Off. Though. It's still viable.
Sure, that's the disruptor. Okay.
I do like it versus
Snap pick Lone Druid. It's a snack pack. Lone Druid right there. They've got it. Liquid know what they want. No hesitation. This is Comfort Zone Deluxe for Liquid.
Yeah, and you have this Slardar Lone Druid combination, so you need to be very careful about the Roche taking. You're just going to lose the towers pretty soon if you don't lock down the Lone Druid. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go back to Dota Summit finals where Viking, they played against Lone Druid twice, the way they dealt with it is they picked Slardar and they picked Medusa. They also had Shadow Demon. These are the heroes that are extremely powerful against the bear. Like, you really did not feel the influence of Koikwa's Lone Druid in those games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually been seeing quite a bit of Liquid lately because we were casting a little bit at Summit as well, and it's not been going too well. They've lost 3 of the last 4 games with the Lone Druid. Now, mind you, all 4 of those games were first phase picks, so they've gotten a lot more info now. But now that brings back the Lifestealer, because even though it's a Slardar, Lifestealer is also one of the better heroes versus Lone Druid. That is interesting.
It still feels a little risky, though, because Pango is also kind of annoying against Lifestealer, right? He's got some options. So the harder Lifestealer game means he's not going to free farm as much, which means Koikwa's going to have more space to farm, and that's part of that tempo dynamic that allows the Lone Druid to look a little better.
But do you want to go like Chrono versus like Relocate Save?
I mean, yeah,
I guess Sven could have been kind of okay.
It's a brave Lifestealer pick. I'll say that. It definitely speaks to the confidence that Na'Vi have with the hero.
Yeah.
They ban out
Rage is pretty damn good this game, though, versus that Lone Druid. Like, the fear is just so frustrating when you're so close to, like, cleaning up either the Druid or the Bear.
Yes.
For sure.
Also, it's a very flexible pick for Team Liquid, where they can run Lone Druid on the mid lane, run it safe lane if needed. They can run aggressive tri-lane if they want to. So things are still opened up for Team Liquid, but what did Navi ban? They banned Snapfire.
Thinking here. And Zeus banned out by Liquid, so more global presence taken out.
Liquid's very limited on silence / like control against Navi's lineup, where they need to have a good hero against the Void Spirit, and the Lifestealer BKB piercing ability is like Slardar Bash and amplified damage. That's pretty much it. But I would still prefer if they get something with some kind of a silence. It depends what kind of timing they're looking into. Having Lone Druid Slardar allows them to play much faster and come online because, Slardar is just amplifying damage. Yeah. I still remember the days when it was called amplified damage.
Bash. Spreads.
Bash of the deep, baby.
We got fancy names now. Now, as Na'Vi, though, what kind of a speed... Do you think we should do the Void Spirit mid or Void Spirit off lane at this point? Because if it kind of looks like they might just want to clear waves a little bit. And that looks like a bit of a problem right now for Na'Vi. Like, should they just go for some, like, dead lane kind of hero? Like an Underlord style or something? Not necessarily that hero, but...
Something with big creep clear?
I don't know. Their game... like, I kind of feel like I want something like a TA or something. Like, something of that pacing, But I don't know if like a puck would be enough damage really. Like they'd have to snowball pretty hard, but then you'd have like the leash and like versus the coil and stuff. But
Puck's
again, they also
good.
still have 10th pick on Team Liquid too. So then you go back to things like the Kunkka, who are like harder to counterpick, considering the DP's already banned.
Liquid banned out Zeus, so they think it's a mid hero. I'm not a big fan of Void Spirit on the off lane. If you don't hit your timings right, I just feel the hero falls off. Like there are a couple of bad matchups for Void Spirit. Let's say he plays into Drow Ranger, he doesn't get to play the game. Pretty much gets harassed quite a lot in the laning stage. Like any range heroes, also depends like who's he paired up with, but still would prefer to see him on a mid lane.
Liquid thinking about this.
I mean, the other part we haven't really brought into this, I guess, is like there's still some flexibility for Liquid as well. Because, yeah, they're banning like the Snap and the Jug, right? Yeah, we have a lot of options here for Liquid.
Definitely. You know, Slardar can play a 1. I mean, we've seen Slardars go mid if you know it's a melee matchup. Like, if it's Void Spirit mid, for sure. I think Slardar can do pretty well in that if they wanted to. Lone Druid, obviously, a contender to go mid. Could go safe lane. Really capitalizing on that 10th pick from Liquid. I like that style of drafting, right?
Yeah. Not much time left. They end up going for the SF. Okay.
Whoa. Okay. So that's some damage. A little.
The fear is really good versus the IO +1. I feel like they like heavy AOE commit damage into a fight. If you get that ulti off, that seems really good.
Some minus armor also now for Navi.
He's a bit squishy, but he does fill in some of the gaps they had. Like easier to take towers, easier to take Roche, but they're he's now like the focal point of this draft, right? Is like making Iceberg's game good.
It's an Iceberg classic. Like he always tend to play these like flashy heroes, Tiny, Lena's, his Shadow Fiend, and let's see what Liquid is gonna go for. Oh, okay, this is a sleeper hero. I'd say cool. A lot of the teams still don't realize how strong of a hero Leshrac is. It allows you to take the towers. Has a ton of damage, and you said like Phantom Lancer's not picked that quite a lot because this hero is back, baby.
Yeah, this is like a page out of the Chinese Dota book. He scales so well. He pushes super fast. I'm super stoked to see this. Trent, how you feeling? Yeah. Are you gonna join the Disco Pony hype train here? You excited, bud?
I mean, they have a 5 Pango.
Yeah, but it's a Leshrac. That makes up for it.
I mean, they won the game versus Yellow Submarine with it. So I guess I'll give it to them. They lost the other 2 when they've tried it, but I'm curious to see how it goes.
Well, time for predictions.
I mean, he's with a lone druid, so I guess you can kind of just do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, I'll go with Liquid. I think this Leshrac seals the deal. I was trying to find the hero that is going to tie things together, and this is it. It allows them to play extremely fast. Like, it's a strong lineup coming out from Liquid. Not a big fan of Shadowfiend. He's one of the heroes that if he gets shut down in the laning stage, one of the heroes with no escape mechanism, it's hard to play from behind, and not really liking the Shadowfiend Lifestealer paired up together combination.
I'm a little.
I look forward to seeing a good Lone Druid game. They've been kind of rough lately, so I'm curious to see if they can make it successful this time. I'm kind of favoring Navi like ever so slightly.
Just okay. Well, we've got the predictions in. It's time for game number 1. We've got KP and PyCat. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you, panel. All right, now, we realize there is a flaw here. We have 2 EU boys casting EU versus CIS, which is why we did bring in the CIS version of PyCat, and I will cover EU fanboyism while he shows us why Navi is stronger with their draft.
I think Navi having a really strong draft. Just superhero for general, Vitya.
Is it just the general, though? I know, CIS, they love their Shadow Fiend. When you saw the Shadow Fiend, did you instantly just bet your house on CIS?
Yeah, I think, SF is just the pinnacle of CIS Dota, you know?
It is. It's like every other region moves on, right? And I always feel like in the middle of times whenever we don't see Shadow Fiend, they're usually the first on its rise. And it's not because necessarily like Navi or CIS in general ahead of the game. It's because they never leave this hero behind. It's just they're waiting. They're already warmed up when it becomes meta again.
It's just it's like part of this, like back 10, 15 years ago, back when there was this in-house leagues, it was always the Russians. If you played poorly in a game, they would just ask you to play 1v1 with SF, and it's just always been there.
But it was only SF. They wouldn't beat
No,
in
no.
the hardcore Queen of Pain
No.
duels. They were like,
It's
no,
just
no,
SF.
we don't practice that.
Just SF, you know.
See, and then you got like these new gen kids that are like 1v1 Pangolier. Speaking of Pangolier, I think right now Liquid is probably the only team I'm seeing run the POS 5 Pango. And is it because of like a team style that it works? Because usually most people refer to Pangolier 5 as pretty greedy.
I mean, probably it has something to do with the fact that they're one of the few teams that seems to consistently play this lone druid hero. I think Pango 5 is like it's a very weak 5 in terms of laning. But when you get backed up with this hero lone druid, right, then you can kind of get away with it, and you can get some team fight through this Pango. But obviously his laning phase is not that strong.
No, and also another thing you can't do well, which other POS 5 possibles are good at, is stacking, right? Like, we've all been there where we're trying to help by stacking as a Pangolier, and you accidentally disarm the camp, and then they don't move at all. And that's kind of an interesting thing as well, because I say Liquid is one of those teams that does prioritize stacking a lot.
Yeah, and it's interesting here. I think Navi, they opted to go with this Lifestealer in the bottom lane, which is, I think, kind of a nice idea for them. I mean, the Lifestealer doesn't generally like playing against Slardar anyways. Just the high armor on Slardar and all this bash, and Lifestealer can't really fight it. But when you just get laned against this lone druid, you don't really care. You can just feast off the bear, and you're gonna sustain in the lane. And the Void Spirit should be doing quite okay top. I mean, his armor is decent with this ring of protection.
Yeah, there was some debate from the panel about like Void Spirit. I think Lacoste on it, like the problem that he sees whenever you run POS free Void Spirit is like if you miss your timings at all, you are a really irrelevant hero. Do you think like this was the right call, that if they had put this in the mid, there wouldn't be enough scaling damage on a Void Spirit versus an SF, for example?
I'm not really sure. I just think that I know the general really likes to play this hero. I've seen him play it a lot in matches and pubs and everything. I mean, I think he really enjoys playing this hero, and so sometimes it can just be player comfort thing.
Yeah, and it is a puff here against what is just becoming like the most controversial combo in the offlane right now, the Eye of Slardar.
Yeah,
at least escape it in the end.
You have some sustain against this physical damage, and you can nuke some range creeps.
Yeah, and while he will suffer a little bit, the thing with this hero is you can sort of survive off levels. Once you have 6, you might see him kind of rotate, and maybe you're just the type of hero that can punish something like the Michaela Shrag, because that's another thing that's highlighted. There was an opinion that teams are sleeping on this hero right now. We've seen a few games. Usually it looks good whenever it has a save, right? Like you need some sort of hero that's able to bolster it up.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the IO and also kind of just the bulkiness of the Lone Druid and the Slardar, right? Like these two heroes that just go in. I mean, the entire Liquid lineup is basically we're just going in. As on mid lane, Mickey is
get low.
Not enough mana on the races there.
Nope. And always want to fly takes a bit of a pummeling on his way out as a result. He needs to actually be a little bit careful. He's following up. The stun will connect, but he needs to be careful as Iceberg's still nearby.
Yeah, and he also kind of just used up all his mana.
Ooh. Oh, one more tap. They get it. First blood. Insania rotates, and they exploit the fact that bashes are strong, and so is overcharge. Easy little pick off. So far, this early phase feels like Liquid are kind of getting away with it. I mean, one thing I didn't ask you yet. We have a rule, right? Whenever we see Liquid, the greedier it gets, the better they look. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how greedy do you rate this draft?
I mean, the fact that they have the Lone Druid, right? That kind of makes it so that it's not incredibly greedy, and it's also just maybe a 6. I'm not sure. Around a 6.
So you're giving them like maybe you're giving them like a 50% chance to win, going by the way they draft. Because usually, probably. They're up at like a level 7 or an 8 in terms of where they are in terms of greed.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not incredibly greedy, this one, but I mean the Pango 5,
right?
The Pango 5.
Well, it's gonna say like on both sides, it feels like the kind of neither team feels like something is insanely greedy here, right? Like you can kind of see both teams having similar timings in this game.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have like they don't really rely on any cooldowns for fighting. It's maybe the Pango roll, potentially the SF ult or Disruptor ult, but these are kind of more skirmishy type spells. It's not gonna be the fights are not gonna be centered around these things. It's gonna be centered around probably a lot like Slaughter jumping in, getting the blink on the right hero, Void Spirit being able to initiate on someone. That's kind of what it's gonna probably come down to.
I feel like in a lot of ways it's gonna be a race to see who can kill them.
Roger.
Roger, no. I think he was out. I mean, I guess he thought obey them because Shadow Fiend was coming with the haste, maybe. But I don't know. I think the Iceberg probably could have still hit that heal. No, Mickey's going to scare him away. Nice. Insania dodges that out. I mean, Iceberg had to be careful there because if he stays next to Pangolier and gets disarmed, it gets whoopsie-daisy very quick.
Yeah, and you can see that the Iceberg is kind of, quite far ahead of this Leshrac, to be honest. Leshrac only sitting at 1,700 net worth, while Iceberg at 2,500. And this is, while Leshrac may be underrated, at least to my knowledge, I think this matchup is quite nice for SF if the first few levels don't go poorly for him. I think he has a pretty good time. Just the amount of damage you get and just the race damage is kind of nice for this lane.
Yeah, it feels like Leshrac's not really a hero that punishes 1-2 either, right? Because it's a hero that also suffers from low base damage, so you can't easily deny out the Shadow Fiend, and he should get those early souls, even though obviously you usually take the raise nowadays anyway.
Yeah, and you can see now the V2 rotates to the top lane. They see Koip already. He ported up here, and he doesn't really enjoy sitting against this lifestealer, right? His bear just keeps getting hit, and he doesn't really feel like he has a purpose in the game right now. Normally, this Lone Druid, he's kind of, he's bullying the offlaner, right? And he can just eventually start hitting your tower, but you see the bottom tower, the lifestealer tower hasn't even gotten hit yet, and lifestealer is pulling ahead in net worth and levels. So Koipa is feeling a little bit like out of place.
Feels kind of worrying as well, right? Because usually Lone Druid, the thing you can brag about this hero, gets levels easy, gets his first 1 or 2 items, and then it kind of snowballs with these tower pushes. Whereas Lifestealer is also this type of carry that with 1 item and a few levels, he can start to get involved and brawl with the enemy team.
Yeah, the NAVI lineup has some very strong fighting capabilities once they hit this minute 15 or around 15 to 20 minute mark when all these spells have their levels, they're gonna be able to be very active.
Part that we haven't seen yet is what Iceberg's likely to commit to here, whether it's going to be the magic fiend or the physical fiend. This type of game, I want to say I'm leaning a little bit physical, maybe.
Yeah, I'm also kind of thinking physical. Just relying solely on the lifestealer to deal the physical damage can be a little bit when BKBs on some of these heroes and just it's also I think against the Pango, I think it feels kind of nice to have some extra physical damage, just being able to hit the roly
yeah, and you're the only one who can as well. And it's like when you look at these heroes, just a lifestealer, a melee hero, and then yeah, like you mentioned, the Lone Druid rule, Slardar with sprint. It's like this is not necessarily an easy game for V2 to stay on top of someone.
Oh, and Iceberg has some pretty juicy stacks here. You can see that NAVI are gonna pull a bit ahead in the gold now with both SF and Lifestealer sitting on top.
He's gonna die. Insania will go down for Mike. He's been dragged on the tower. General needs to back up quickly though. He has no points to dissimulate, so he has to stand and fight. The tower won't help him quick enough, and it won't even get the kill afterwards. So Mike comes out ahead there.
I'm very surprised that Roger did not TP there. I don't think his port was on cooldown. He was stacking something, but I feel like you take a level 9 Leshrac over a stack.
Yeah, it's the dream of a Rubik support, right? It's like, oh, I can just yoink that with a Fable. Mike was like 100 HP. That was the definition of yoinking.
Yeah, and while the course, like these two, the position 1 and 2 of NAVI are very happy, you can see that the supports, they're not both supports sitting now at level 4. They're trying to lead some experience here off these stacks, Roger. And there's going to be a tomb quite soon, but supports are kind of lagging behind a little bit. And you can see Insane is already level 6. He's got the Javelin. And yeah, Io also, I mean, he's got some items on him. And
yeah, the point is, while Na'Vi probably, you could argue their supports have kind of stronger ultimates potentially, it's the fact that they're too starved to get there. And we're going to see this almost coming into play from Insania. Brawl will be a little bit off the mark, but the Jukes forced from Roger will mean that he runs into the waiting arms of the cause. And now movement in with Requiem to turn around the Boxy. They're going to cut through and bring Insania low. No, they finish him off. They get the big one on Boxy and will still get Pangolier afterwards with the right click to the Disruptor.
yeah, Iceberg doing kind of the classic, just waiting in this little tree line. And you just drop an ult, get the fear, and heroes fall. And you can see there was also a nice.
Oh, go ahead.
It was a nice little sidestep there by Roger. He kind of bought them some extra time. Like he juked the Pango roll, and he kind of like ran around, you know, did a little circle there, bought some extra time, which kind of netted them these 2 kills.
Yeah, it's more like Insane's there. We have you surrounded, and Rogers just stands still going, oh, okay, then I'll stand here and I'll cry for reinforcements. It's also the awkward issue whenever you initiate primarily with a Pangolier, right? Like, this is usually why I feel like Pango serves better as either a follow-up initiation or a very select engagement area of the map where, like, you've got really tight choke points that you can't shoot them out in.
Yeah, I mean, initiating, of course, with Pango, it's it can be a little bit sketchy unless you have a couple of items on you. And I mean, some of these heroes don't really care. I mean, both the Void Spirit and the Lifestealer, they don't really care about this. Shadow Fiend is also rushing the DKB, so at some point he's not really gonna be that worried. But you can see that Boxy, he's queued up this first item, Blink Dagger. I mean, this is pretty much what they need to be able to play this game. They're gonna get this timing with the Blink Dagger, the Lone Root. He has this Mask of Madness. He's probably gonna have some. Well, I'm not sure what he's going for, but Basher, Deso, MKB, whatever it is. So they're gonna hit this pretty nice timing. Also with the Mika now getting the Yules on Lesh.
I'm imagining it's probably going to be Deso in this game, right? It just opens up Roche with the Corrosive Haze, also amplifies your tower push so you're not just reliant on Mika. We'll see if he switches it up.
I'm not really much of a Lone Root player these days. So I'm not gonna pretend to know.
I'm getting old. It's hard to track more than one hero now.
Yeah,
Oh,
you just can't keep up, you know.
it's hard, man. This is pressure, right? Like, you know, who wants to play Meepo? Who wants to learn Meepo? Okay, because everyone's watching and everyone's judging if you make a mistake. Rubik, mistakes have been made there. He gets caught out the rotation. We'll be heading back. I mean, they could just leave Mike here to push on the top. I don't know if you want to stay in this area in the map. They'll head to top again. They're pinging out General. They did force him back, but he's got Astral Steps. They've waited too long here. He's a wise Whisperer. He knows that something is wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, they have this ward up here, and yeah, he's just kind of playing in the trees there, where they can't really reach him.
Now they're going to shift towards bot. Maybe try and actually take this tier 1 tab. So far, they haven't put a dent in Liquid's buildings. But Quake, in the meantime, is going to put a dent in the mid. This should make what they're doing obvious as well. They've just let a lone druid run up to their tower and pummel the crap out of it.
Yeah, you can see V2 he's queuing up this Manta. He wants to not have to deal with the root and the amplified damage. And Iceberg he's closing in on his BKB pretty quickly here. I mean, he chose to just go for the treads into Dragonlance with 1 Wraith Ban. And not the magic one, not the double Wraith Ban or anything else, just kind of rushing these items. Trying to get to this place where you can actually fight as quick as possible.
I usually like this on SF when you have enough lockdown,
top,
right?
On Roger.
Zooming in. Rubik caught out of position, trying to defend his tower. Will be brought down. They'll get the trade on the tier 1 bot in the meantime, though. And I think to go back to that point, it's whenever you rush the BKB on SF, it's like one of those big power spikes, but you do need lockdown, right? If you don't have the means to hold these elusive heroes in place, then you don't get what is usually giant power spikes.
Yeah, but they do have some tools to be able to lock down. Also, Roger is having quite the awful game, or awful start to this game, at least here. He's only level 7, both supports are only level 7, so their play is going to be somewhat limited, but At the same time, they do have this V-Tune, the Lifestealer. He's getting quite farmed. He's also got this Illusion Rune sent to this top lane. They have the Void Spirit to make up for some control, although he's also quite poor. So Navi are quite heavily invested into both this Lifestealer and Shadow Fiend.
Now, calm down, Podcast. You said Roger's having a bad game, but you got to look at it from another angle, okay? It's all about swings and roundabouts here. He is only level 7, but he has died 5 times, okay? This man has somehow managed to find a decent amount of XP for a guy who spent most of the game dead.
I mean, that's also, that's why he's dying too, right? He goes to kind of the places on the map where no one else wants to be. And Foxy there with the quick fingers on the blink. I mean, he's just taking up the places where, no one else wants to be there, so he's just there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting as well because you have this Void Spirit. You'd expect him to be kind of enveloped in those areas, but it almost feels like the reload potential on the Leshrac is making General's game very hard to play in a more cocky fashion.
Yeah, you can see he's suffering a bit in the net worth. Looks like he's going for the Yules now. There is the Deso now on the Lone Druid, so I expect them to maybe just go in to the pit here right away. And this could be very nice for just getting an Aegis on the, I'm assuming, Leshrac.
Makes most sense, especially with the boost of travel. He can run it pretty quick without mules. I think the best thing Navi can get out of this, I'm not sure if you can contest, maybe just try and take the tier 1, but
I don't even think they're aware. It all happened kind of so fast. They get this light on.
He might miss it. Speaking of links, Foxy jumps in, beats in, trying to move away. Will be able to do so. The rest of the team weren't able to follow up as quickly as the Fishman in the river. They'll count their lucky stripes. They didn't take any casualties after that because, I mean, they were balled up pretty hard. That choke point. As you said, they were not expecting that at all, but they will have smoke. If this works, I mean, Leshrac, you give the Aegis to him for a reason. He melts quick, and if he's away from his team like this, and you get rid of the Aegis this quick, there's going to be a little smile on your face.
I mean, he should be kind of...
No, they find him. Kinetic field, but they'll be able to glimpse him back past it. And you have got the lift, and they'll use it now if the Yule's been thrown out. Iceberg needs to just throw out a raise, and that's 1 life gone. Charge up the Requiem. 2-2, we're ready to go again. Reinforce coming in. Foxy with nice stun. Covers Mike, a nice reload to get him out and away. Him on the side, though. Boikva. He activated the ultimate. He wants to go in. Sania, charge up the Royal Thunder, blink through. Cuts the back line. Stun's going to come on Disruptor. He had to use the stack storm. He can't throw it down. He's dead. They're going to chase forward. They do see Iceberg as well. One route would secure a death here. Forcing out the BKB. Going to charge up the Requiem to scare them away. V2 turns around the bear as well. And it is disarmed. They're trying to actually heal it up. Tiger's trying to save the bear and get it out in one piece, but it's done. 300 gold going the way of Navi, but with the BKB running out, the pings come out. Infest to try and get Shadow Fiend away, but Root's going to be there. Remnant to buy a little bit of time. V2 knows they have to fight now. Boikva. Bear is plowing through real quick. Iceberg down to half HP, trying to retreat from this. Nice stun though. Foxy secures the kill. They'll chase forward looking for more. TP out by the Void Spirit will be successful, but V2 just about gets the rage out. However, they are fast on the side of Liquid, and they are hungry. This bear is looking to munch you up. Always want to fly, cannot save him. They're going to lose 2 cores and a support, and they use that big BKB for all of nothing.
Yeah, and that kind of, a lot of this I think happened. Iceberg, he didn't want to use his BKB to kill this Leshrac. I mean, he didn't realize how close they were. He gets blink stunned, and Loner just goes in. He munches up the Disruptor in a matter of a couple of seconds, and then Iceberg is forced to use the BKB just to survive this Pangolier brawl, and the Loner would attack him to use this ult to fear away the bear. And after that, they just didn't really have enough damage with the Void Spirit being not really able to help out that much, and the Disruptor already dead.
Oh, this one fly at least got the casters on. Sure, it was the one he was looking for. Saying he'll say buy on the way away from Iceberg. And I mean, this is kind of the worrying thing, right? Like, when you actually compare these 2 drafts, that top fight was a perfect example of how this reactionary draft Liquid have with the Slardar, with the Irelia kits, can exploit the weaknesses of Navi supports. Because I feel like with the Requiem, with the kind of like the Glimpse, there's plenty of time for Liquid to always respond to Navi's initial or follow-up engagement.
Yeah, I think the issue for Navi is that they're having a little bit of a tough time finding initiations. I think this could potentially help, though. They have now the Etherlens and also the Corrosive Haze on the Rubik. I think, in these upcoming fights, potentially we could see them do some sort of proper engagements where, you can start the fights with the lift from kind of further away. You also have now the Corrosive Haze to help amplify the damage of both the Lifestealer and the Shadow Fiend. And the General has now gotten the Yule Spirit, so he's going to be able to play a little bit more aggressively. at the same time, though, Mickey's getting very close now to his BKB. With both the strength and armor talents on the Leshrac, he is getting to be quite the beefy disco pony already.
It's getting a little bit spooky. I mean, when you see Instania playing this cocky up in their face, like a glimpse of back to punish it now. If you had to do so, the heal attempt by Tiger's not good enough. Instania gets caught on the low ground by the final right click of the Iceberg. They're hunting. This is kind of sad. Okay, now General has finally got his level 2 Ashes there. That was feeling sad to watch him try and mobilize. He does get the cut. It's not enough, though. And they haven't got the creep wave either, so they don't even feel confident. They've come in this era, they're not able to even get an objective out of it.
Yeah, and Mickey's already hoarding in and stealing these 2 bounty runes. So they're not losing much. I mean, there's even this. They're probably gonna get this third, the one on the Radiant kind of high ground there. So even though they lose a hero, they don't really lose much in terms of gold.
No, it's kind of the rough part. Is like right now, because Navi, you can kind of feel they're behind in what their heroes need. They are having to play a little bit more grouped, right? So any kill that Navi find is kind of like, okay, we need more. We instantly need more. There needs to be at least 2 kills here. The Steve's going to die here. Stun onto the back line. Rubik brought low, but nope. Foxy dodges out the Static Storm. A little bit of a whoopsie daisy. First phase does get stolen again. Roll through from Insania. Lockdown goes forward onto Rubik to try and bring him down. The stun does control Iceberg and allows Insania to move away. Needs to be careful. The Glimpse is going to drag him back towards his death, though. He is gone. So far, Insania, usually the one kind of causing his own deaths with how far forward he's playing here.
Yeah, and you can see this corrosive haze once again on the Rubik is quite useful for them. And just the right clicks from Iceberg and also V-Tune are very strong now. And I think the one thing for Navi so far is they really haven't found while the lifesteal was very useful in the early laning stage, and he kind of helped shut down the Lone Root early on, he hasn't really found kind of any proper purpose after that. And you can see Koiko is, I mean, he's going for this. He's got the Deso, he is going for this AC with the Mask of the Madness, also the Dragon Scale, so he's going to have this really tanky bear. And the Lifestealer is going to have some issues actually dealing with this bear.
Yeah, he's trying to build to the item that will help him that. They are going for the Deso, which is a lot of minus armor, right? You've got the Presence of the Dark Lord, you've got the Corrosive Haze that keeps getting stolen, and then you have the Deso, so even that AC should be offset by the right-click damage in Navi. It's just those extra seconds it takes you to bring down the bear is kind of allowing the rest of Liquid to dance around the fight.
Yeah, and I'm just a little bit curious whether this was actually the right approach from V-Tune here, going for this Manta. I mean, potentially you could have gone for something like a Halberd and just gone in. I mean, now what he's doing is he doesn't really want to tank, right? He doesn't want to be tanking these spells. But you go something like a Halberd or, you know, just more damage, and you can potentially just take some of these fights. But we'll see if it's going to pay off.
And it just means that Iceberg's an easier prioritization of these fights, because you look and you go, okay, V-Tune's not actually dishing damage. If we get rid of SF, that's like 50% of the damage off the table.
No, for sure, the Shadow Fiend is the vast majority of their damage. He is also getting very close to this Daedalus already, so Iceberg is hitting some pretty good timings. But he is definitely going to be the target of focus from this Liquid lineup.
Yeah, Mike's going to bulk up more because he's going towards the Bloodstone next. I mean, he's already a reasonably bulky boy being up at level 17, 2k HP. It's not an easy quick burst target anymore with the BKB there.
I think when Navi supports and kind of their general lineup, when they're all so poor except for the Shadow Fiend, I think it's going to be very scary for that once Liquid get the BKB on the Slaughter. They're going to have 2 BKBs, they're going to have a Lone Druid.
Foxy has been lifted. They just need to get out there, and they know it. Jump in, stun's going to come out. They charge up the Requiem, though. Punishments will be had. Foxy trying to move away, but not going to be quick enough. He'll try and sustain him. Tiger's going to be dragged away, though, from the link. Foxy will try and run it off. Just about gets away. Iceberg has the BKB to fight up against Mike, though. They get stealing the stun, but quick despair is dead. Just try and root and force them away. They need to be careful. Here comes the roll in from Insania. Good stun control. No BKB anymore for Iceberg, so he needs to be careful. He's being locked down. They haven't got a second line of follow-up right now. Foxy can't reinitiate, too low on HP. They'll just have to back away. That's going to be down to the bear, though, and that's going to be the price. 300 gold going in the pocket, the Iceberg Shadow Fiend again.
Yeah, well, after that fight happened, pretty much the only thing that actually happened was the one bear dying.
Animal cruelty. That's what happened, okay? Everyone turned their head, and a poor innocent bear died for everyone else's sins.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a very nice initiation from from kind of Navi there. The Requiem once again from the fog, but they just didn't really have enough damage to get through the slaughter with the heal from the IO.
And that time Insania, he didn't die for his Rolling Thunder in, but that was more what you want to see. The problem is because they initiate a Boxy that time, you don't have that follow-up after you start stunning these targets, which it kind of feels like if you're Liquid, you preferably want to have Kuiper or Mike initiate on, and then you can like counter-attack.
I think you want to be just able to just charge in. Like, you want the Slaughter and the Pango to kind of roll in at the same time as the Lone Druid is running in with his Bear, and the Leshrac is just running in too. It's just like this lineup that kind of, it's like a train, right? They just come at you and they just roll over you, and that's kind of how you want to play these fights for Liquid. Ideally, you can just crush them because you have a lot of damage, a lot of single target damage, and just a lot of damage on the Leshrac too. So you get some of the supports, or you manage to catch the SF without BKB, and you can kill these heroes in absolutely no time.
What you just kind
but you need to be.
What you just kind of said was, let's turn shared unit control on and let Insania just drag.
Pretty much, I mean, he seems to be the one just going in, so why not? No, but at the same time, you have to, of course, be. I mean, everyone has to be present for these engagements, right? They have to be in the vicinity. They have to be close enough to actually deal damage when you're going in to stun these heroes.
Yeah, and I like the Navi. While yes, they are suffering net worth-wise because of continuing to play that balled-up style. Because the problem in this game that they have is with the Leshrac boost to travel, with the IO, the Lone Druid, like your lane's going to be pushed in, and any attempt to like quickly gank as 2 is going to be responded by 3 from Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the IO factor, right? They sort of need to split the map, but at the same time, they're also against the Slaughter and the IO, so it is very scary to split. And that's why, I mean, these heroes, they're suffering. Like, ideally in a game like this, I think you would want to have a Void Spirit that's way higher in terms of net worth, so that he can feel comfortable running around, shoving these lanes and becoming more of a core. Because, I mean, this game, Navi now, they pretty much have 3 supports, right? You look at the net worth of the Void Spirit, it's pretty much down there with the IO and the Pango, and their own supports are even more broke. So it's pretty much just the Shadow Fiend and the Lifestealer.
I mean,
and the Lifestealer is...
even then, I'd say it's like 3 supports, a tank, and a DPS right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because like V2 is trying to build these right-click items, but every time you look, you're like, eh. I mean, how you can't really stay on top of these targets. You are just genuinely the frontline tank.
No, for sure, he is. I mean, he has now the Orb of Corruption and the Desolator. It's definitely gonna help out a bit.
The beautiful thing about Dota is, though, Pycat, we can have 3 supports. There's games out there that only allow a maximum of 2 supports. Okay, we could have 4 supports and 1 carry team.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that should be every game.
Of course you do. Just the sound of money trickling in your mind right now. Producer 6 slot when everyone's got 1 item. So,
the Naga days of old, those were the best, The good old Radiance, Manta
sure,
style Octarine.
I'm sure like the other 80% of the players playing these games totally thought that was a great meta. They loved that. I totally loved having like 2k net worth when your Naga had 20.
I think 100% of the players in a game.
Oh, done. I spoke. Oh my god. But they bring him low. Nice defensive try and save him, but it's too late. The machine gun bashes come out. They bring him down, turn around to try and eradicate Boxy. We'll get him in the end, but Mike, he melts through Roger on the back line. The buyback comes out, and they found more. B2 gets melted through as well. General is high on the run. He's running out of resources to escape with no astral steps left. It's just a matter of time before the Void Spirit becomes a spirit in the afterlife.
I mean, this is kind of the type of initiation that you would want to see from Liquid. They just go in, they catch the SF without the BKB. The Lifestealer, he tries to help out, but I think he was a little bit slow on the Infest. I think the Infest, it has a basic dispel, so I think you can potentially remove the Amplify damage there. I mean, maybe that could have helped him out. I'm not even sure, but, they don't have any Vlads or Medallion or Mech or anything, so armor on the Shadow Fiend is quite limited. Especially against this now Basher, AC, Mask of Madness, Deso on the Lone Druid, coupled with the Amplify damage. So he does go down incredibly quickly there. And V2 also did not use the Manta to break this Amplify damage. And yeah, I mean...
I was just gonna say, it's also, you look at general, it's like, what is he doing in that fight? Like, how can he turn anything around? Like, usually we look at Yules and we say, that's the best item in the world for Void Spirit. But you can't use it well defensively in this game. It sets up 2 stuns. Aggressively, I don't think we've really seen one like big aggressive play. I wonder if, like, yeah, what he's doing now, Solar Crest or Lotus or something like that, just rushed, might have served a bigger purpose here. As you said, he is playing the support role.
Yeah, I think potentially. I mean, he wants to use just for survivability, right? But I mean, getting something like a solar could have helped out. But it's also, you know, speaking from the scenario which we just witnessed, you know, it's very easy. Hindsight is 2020, right? And so it's very simple for us to see that now. But I think the issue is he's just so incredibly starved for net worth.
Yeah. We'll just okay, let's just take your approach where, you know, you're the only one that matters. Everyone else is just like, they're basically walking wards. Iceberg says scatter in 4 directions. Everyone just give me eyes on Liquid. All right, I am the true one carry. He's the only one who really feels like he's ever dishing damage in these fights. And I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, V2, even when he gets this AC, it just feels like the best thing he can contribute to these fights is a well-timed invest.
Yeah, I kind of think the issue for him is, I mean, he doesn't really have, you know, he doesn't have a slaughter on his team. That's kind of the issue for him here, right? He needs some sort of somebody to go in. I mean, I think that potentially what they should have just done is just commit to this more kind of standard approach to the Lifestealer without this Manta style and just go for something more straight up damage and just infest this Void Spirit earlier on. Just go into these fights, you know, initiate onto this Leshrac before he had the BKB, before he was this big beefy boy with Bloodstone, and now also with the Shivas. And I think they kind of just they didn't really utilize how strong the Lifestealer was and how kind of awkward the Lone Road felt in this early game, and so they ended up suffering quite a bit.
Do you think that maybe in their mind they were considering like a magic damage Shadow Fiend when they drafted this? So then you would have had like the blink initiation Yules and then bomb out from the infest. But because of the change in the early game, that didn't come to fruition.
I don't really think so. I think this was his intention. I think he kind of meant to go for this because just it feels a little bit awkward having like this Lifestealer as your soul core. Just, you know, it's hard to dish out that much physical damage against when you're playing against a hero like Slardar and Lone Red.
There's a fight going on. Roll in on the V2. Stun fall off is good. They go glimpse one away, but the damage might already be done. He's gone. V2's down. BKB charged up. Iceberg activates his own, but the Masters are going to come through. Boxy's staying on top of him. And with the corrosive haze, there's no way he can fight back. He's going to be brought down. Disruptor's going to die as well. Roger is going to be chased onto also on the back line. Looks like 4 are going to be dead. General's the only one left alive. And once again, Navi unable to take a fight.
Yeah, I mean, and that should pretty much just be... That should be that.
No. You want to say that'll be game. They're not ready to tap out yet. General, he's like, you have to kill me first. Challenge accepted, says Liquid. The base is going to get delayed pretty fast
the
now.
The base is going to be
pretty
much Gonzo.
This is Liquid nowadays. Yep, GG comes out. I mean, this is the thing we kind of have come to acknowledge them for and compliment them, is they don't mess around anymore. The moment they see that you expose your throat, they'll cut it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there's a reason for this. I mean, Koipo on his Lone Druid, he has a not the most amazing early stage, but I think the thing of he understands so well his purpose in games with this hero. I think he makes the most out of, you know, pretty much any given situation. Even though he's having not the best of lanes, he still understands that he has to go and kind of sit in front of these towers. And if the enemy team doesn't really respond to his rotations, even if it's just the Lone Druid walking up hitting your towers, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna lose net worth. You're gonna lose map control. And yeah, I think he knows his bear.
He does. Bear is very good. I think the other thing that's really good from Liquid is the kind of way that they have this farm distribution, right? Where we talked about it early in the game. They have these more greedy picks and more greedy lineups. And it feels like Na'Vi, they have heroes that should be able to punish that. So do we feel like there's some blame to be had that Na'Vi maybe didn't aggress enough in the early phases of the game?
Yeah, I think kind of... Like I mentioned earlier, I think potentially just the Lifestealer going in with the Void Spirit, just you know, making some sort of infest bombs onto, you know, to the Leshrac before he had his BKB, just kind of trying to play the game. I think the issue for them was that they just stood around. You know, they just stood around and waited for these pushes to happen, and eventually they got caught off guard. And I think you need to kind of try to make something happen on your own if you want to be able to play this way. Like you want to be able to utilize the fact that your lifesteal is strong.
Tumultuous start to the series for Na'Vi. That means Liquid's one game up, and hopefully Na'Vi then go back to the drawing board, give us someone a little bit closer. We don't want to just have a repeat of the last grand finals where these two teams met.
have mana. So you suggested Ursa. What else has made it through here? The Troll and, well, the Lifestealer.
Lifestealer seems pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know
Troll
what's good?
doesn't seem terrible.
Alchemist.
PL? Oh, the Alchemist.
No, it really does. And
Survivable?
maybe you need someone that can survive Chronosphere. Like that's the only
Wraith
hero
King?
that comes to mind.
Is this the
King's
Wraith
other
King game?
one, but Wraith King has been
He's
a
dumpster.
low tier hero.
Yeah. It doesn't feel that great here. I mean, what do they still want to take Roche to like propel their Storm Spirit? They could get like a safe lane. They could play like Death Prophet's banned. I was thinking like some sort of like a safe lane, like Death Prophecy, safe lane Leshrac style, something like that. That lets them just like
the
play
PL
fast.
is still there, guys. I'm just gonna say right now.
I mean, a Manta Buyer isn't the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, natural dispel.
Yeah. Okay. So this is like you have something to not quite a BKB or a rage like the Lifestealer, but you got a dispel and you're much more mobile. Has some advantages over the Lifestealer. There are some heroes that are food. You could definitely pick on that Skywrath Mage a little bit.
I find Slark and Timber to be kind of a weird matchup because this does often happen where they like counterpick the Timber with the Slark, but at the same time, Timber has a lot of good options for you with your Shadow Dance, right? Like you have to you still got to respect the Timber Saw more than other Hog leaders. Respect the Timber Law. Okay, just gonna.
You have so many abilities against the Shadow Dance in this game. It's insane, and it's also Slark.
Yeah.
Into the Chrono, which I really dislike. Like there is a save. You get like Chen Heal, Mech. That's pretty much it. At one point, like damage coming out from Skywrath Mage and just Void Chronosphere is gonna be too much. I'm not liking this Slark pick.
There was like 4 or 5 years of Dota where people would basically say it was unwinnable to play Slark versus Faceless Void. I remember that being said on panels and it being correct time and time again. Where it was like, oh, they picked Slark and they forgot to ban Void, and then the Void would come out, and then the Slark's game was like completely impossible.
And you're like not even all in on this Skywrath Void combo. You've still got the Timber, you've got Magnetize, you got all this other damage to put in there. A lot of mobility, 2 forms of silence to get into that back line. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous for Navi.
For the record, I actually, I still think Liquid's draft is kind of weird. Like the Timbersaw still does have a really good game.
Isn't that always Timbersaw though? Don't you say that after every Timbersaw? Timber's gonna have a great game for this pick to be worth it.
All right, just give it to the passes already.
All right, let's take it over. We need some real analysis. PyCat, KP, save us, please.
Main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna take a trip back through time, back through the void, to a time of relevance where PyCat was playing against this combo, and it is clearly why he was not able to win TI4. It is the Faceless Void and his magical Skywrath man. It's back, PyCat.
Back in the old days, I remember when Skywrath was played. This was when Wraith King 4 was played constantly. I remember it was the unbeatable position 4 Psy Wraith King. You just you saw Zai on Wraith King, you just man, we lost. Just the roaming Skywrath Wraith King. Those were the days of old. I think nowadays though, I think this the Slark Void matchup, it
30 seconds.
I don't think it is as terrible as it used to be. I mean, there's been the changes to the pounce mechanic, right? You can't time walk.
Yeah, you're trapped.
So it's not terrible. Of course, you don't want the chrono. You're a little bit afraid of the chrono, but like Austin mentioned, I think earlier, there's the Hand of God and there's the mech. And while at some point, of course, the matchup becomes quite favorable for Void, I think potentially if Navi play their cards right, I think they're gonna have this really strong offlane. They're gonna have the Beast Kubik. I think if they can kind of suppress the Void enough, I think they could do quite well here. They're gonna have 2 very strong side lanes, and then basically,
go ahead. Sorry.
Basically, off of how the mid matchup goes, they could also potentially have a very strong Storm here. So I think if they can push this top lane and the Beastmaster does well, I think they have some good chances.
The thing that I wanted to explore a bit more there is you mentioned if they can suppress the Void enough, right? And this has kind of been the big contest of the current patch, the current meta we've been in, is can you beat Faceless Void? And it usually seems to be if Faceless Void has a hero that has a very strong level 2 power spike, then they can beat the Beastmaster plus Rubik combo. Do you think Skywrath gives you that, or is this nowhere near what a Snapfire would give.
I mean, I definitely don't think it's anywhere close to either like the Crystal Maiden that was banned out or the Snapfire. I think the issue for a lane like this is the fact that they can't really kill any of the boars. I think the boars are kind of what make it annoying for the Faceless Void. It means he can't just walk up and just farm freely, and at some point the lane is gonna get pushed, and you're gonna have to deal with summons and creeps. And that's kind of where Void has issues early on, since he doesn't have any way of clearing creeps.
Yeah, and you definitely suffer as a Skywrath, right? Because you've got 0 armor, so these balls just munch away you. Even a Rubik that usually has low damage, you definitely start to feel the pain. Makes me wonder if you just like made the kind of lane very easily, like just get sticks. And I guess my big worry is they will always, as the game goes on, have this Skywrath plus Chrono combo. But is it me, or is it very easy to just initially pick off Insania in these games?
Yeah, I think it can be relatively easy to pick up Insania. I also think Mickey has to be a little bit careful playing against these heroes. I mean, there are a lot of ways that this Void can die before he has BKB. Pretty much any sort of initiation, whether it's the Pounce or if it's the Roar, the Storm Pull, or a Lift, like the Void can die very easily, and they don't have any saves on Liquid. They have some backup in terms of Earth Spirit and Skywrath, but it kind of depends on if this bottom lane goes well for Boxy, if he can get off to a good start and feel quite strong, then I think they're gonna be feeling pretty happy. But the Chen is quite strong in a lane like this. I think it's not really any sort of burst damage in this lane. No one is really expected to die that easily. I think it's gonna be a war of attrition. Sort of, VTune is gonna go for this at least 2 points in the Essence Shift, and he's gonna keep hitting this Timber, so he won't feel that comfortable. And yeah, it looks like even Taiga's just going to rotate from this lane. I think this is a smart choice.
Well, he gets the forward smash out. If he gets the body blocks right, they could bring Iceberg down, but no dice. Simulate will just about tap, and they need one more hit. They're going to how they do get him. A little bit close for comfort, but they get the first blood. And the spirit lanes, they're always volatile. And now, Iceberg slightly behind.
Yeah, I think this is a very good decision from Taiga here to just leave this bottom lane. Just give the levels to Boxy. He's going to sit here. He might suffer a little bit. But he's gonna play a lot around the chains and the Whirling Death. He's just gonna go, try to use these spells for CS. You can't really fight the Scar. You're just gonna try to get what you can get, and we might potentially even see Roger start, rotating towards other lanes as well. But yeah, I like this decision from the Earth Spirit. He doesn't really have a purpose on this bottom lane. You're never really gonna threaten these heroes. And you can see up top. I mean, you look at Mickey. He's in trouble.
Time off some cooldown. He's gone. The rolling from Tiger cannot save the day, and now he has to walk away. He's actually a liability. He's going to go down. No roll. Very far, won't save him either. They dive the tower. General gets himself a double cut, and they immediately think about going for Insania, but he's cut in the trees. He doesn't have a Quilla Blade. He has no way out.
Does he not see the curve? What was that, like, just out of his sight?
Yeah, I guess he felt like he couldn't keep up with it. And as a result, Insania does still go down to always want to fly, though. So even with that, Navi definitely coming out ahead in that trade.
No, for sure. I mean, you look at the Beastmaster, he's very, very happy right now. He's up there almost together with the Void Spirit. It was unfortunate for him there. He didn't have a Quelling Blade, and the Rubik didn't have any Tangos. I think he expected the Rubik maybe to have a Tango, since he doesn't have a Quelling Blade, to be able to kind of eat that tree and help him out. But he sort of walked into that one.
No, he's gone for these double braces because he's against the Skywrath, presumably. But he's at least got Tangos this time. He's like, fool me once, or I always want to fly. He's in trouble. Lift will not buy enough time to let him live.
Yeah, they're just going to keep trialing up here. I think Roger should just really rotate off of this lane as soon as possible. Maybe get to level 3, try to get on the creep. Try to play, maybe run towards top or something. You don't really have a purpose down here, I think. You can get some levels and you can do some pulls, but it doesn't seem incredibly useful.
Yeah, it's the fact that, Flark is not going to really struggle, but the Timber is past the struggle point. You can't really shut him down. Once he has 2 points in reactive armor, he's going to sustain.
Yeah, that's no real point. He also has Arcanes. He's got the 6 Mangoes, so he's gonna just constantly spam this.
Meanwhile, in the mid situation, you can see Storm Spirit's at least keeping his lead because, of course, the thing that he can do much better than a Void Spirit is he can just go jungle.
Yeah, look at this stack. This is what Roger has been doing pretty much. This is a 5 stack.
Oh. Can you just hear the gold noise right now in your head?
I can hear the gold noise in the game. Better yet.
I mean, I'm usually a support player in this situation, so I have to imagine the noise, but you've been given pristine access to the gold sets there, sir.
And Iceberg is straight up rushing. Okay, he went to the boots.
And now they're going bot. Moving in. Gonna try and bring down Boxy. They punish him as he steps up. V2 is able to get himself some agi and they get themselves a kill. It does cost them a Rubik. Definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, and Iceberg, I mean, this is the Chen Storm combo, right? You just bring people, you know, you just bring the Storm wherever you want. And he's very happy. You can just, you know, port back to base, come back out with full mana. The one thing, though, is this mid tower is taking quite a beating. And Koipo is off to a pretty good start. Of course, Iceberg is slightly ahead because of that big stack, but always on a fly now.
Whoopsie. Wrong place, wrong time, buddy. Astro Step is there. Cut through is good. Always want to fly with one more tap. We'll go goodbye.
And I do think
Storm's
that
got
it is...
deep. He's out of mana. He's going to be punched this box. He's going to live.
Iceberg with the overextension there. Now they're in a little bit of trouble here.
I mean, losing your tier 1 in the bot at 7 minutes in, that's kind of the power usually of like the Chen we talk about, but he barely had any creeps going with that.
Yeah, but I mean more so that actually Navi are in a little bit of trouble. I mean, the tower gets denied. Koipa is in the mid lane. No hero was really able to go towards the mid lane there, since Always on a Fly didn't have a TP, and Iceberg was dead. There's no real other hero who can rotate. Beastmaster doesn't want to leave this top lane.
And look at this. The smoke movement that go on top. They'll see the core. They could cut that down if they want to. They always go straight for the hero. They cut the core through General as well. Decapitate him alongside his pet. You know, the worrying part is, like you said, they get that tier 1 bot, but they lose the one mid. And my kind of concern right now is, like, what's your pivot play at the end of the laning phase right now? Because I feel like this Void Spirit is a very big problem for Navi.
Yeah, I also think that the Tiger has just been very much on point with his rotations. I think he found his purpose. Just despite the fact that he didn't really have a place in his bottom lane, he really understood what he has to do and just kind of create chaos on the map. And he's managed to get Koipa to a very comfortable position now. And he's also rushing this Orchid, so it's gonna come out about the same time as Storms.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising considering they had those big fat stacks. That's kind of the impact we're seeing. So, you know, it makes sense.
Got some fat stacks, man.
He has. I was gonna say it makes sense actually because I remember I think it was 2 years ago when the Liquid Boys were in Alliance. They were the ones that kind of cheesed their way to a really weird victory with Storm Chen. So if any team is gonna know how to kind of play against this less exploitable combo these days, probably Liquid.
Yeah, and I think while general, I really like the idea of this one bracer going out early. I feel like he's committed way too heavily into this top lane now. He went for the double bracer with the Orb of Venom, and also Always Wanna Fly he left this lane, and now the Beastmaster has been struggling quite a bit. You know, you see the Void, he's almost 2 levels ahead of this Beastmaster, and he's not going for this book, so there's not going to be this massive push coming out of the Beastmaster just that early.
Well, in his defense, you know, he did have those 2 braces when he died with no Quill and Blade on the tower, but more importantly, you'll know this if you've seen him in the pub games enough. General, he's a big fan of braces, okay? This is that stopping at 2 is impressive because he used to have a big problem with his choice of items. Usually you'd see him with 4 braces every game, no matter the hero.
I mean, bracers, you know, they're just, it's like the poor man's luxury item.
Pretty much. I mean, I still remember when I think he took it further actually. Clockwork, he'd always build 5 braces. It was either 4 braces, a wand, or 5 braces.
I mean, I remember the one, like, that one patch where everyone was buying, like, 3 to 4 wristbands, and I even remember at one point people bought double treads just because of the stats.
Yep, and then there was also, like, the triple gloves of paste.
Oh, yes.
That was ridiculous as well.
Oh, yes, there have been many a patch.
Well, I think
Iceberg
Envy took the stream. I think he had like one patch. There was one game where I think he built 4 gloves of haste.
Iceberg is very close. I'm not sure.
It was a lot. Something like that. You were gonna say he's almost got the Orchid, right? But then have a look at Quickfoot. I mean, he's stolen stacks. We'll get him there first. Quickfoot needs to move away because Primal War was ready. They're coming though. They're reacting. Rolling. Tiger wants to break up the fire a bit, magnetize to cause the chaos. Primal Roar is going to be forced out for this defensive. Tiger stands his ground, will be brought down by the creep army, but they're moving in. General's going to be left behind. They don't want to give over a good chrono. Quick for moves in. Remnant is there onto Roger, though, proving that not only one Void can combo with Insania on this Skywrath.
Yeah, and while generally is he's a pretty chunky boy there with them double bracers and feds. It's just not enough. Initiation on the boxy top.
Bring him low.
Reveal.
Yeah, this is not enough.
Go down.
Ooh, nice lift. Don't think you got damage anymore. Iceberg's out of mana. Insania will arrive. The sound's going to go out. They can turn around the Rubik. I'm surprised they didn't just go for Iceberg at that point. The roll in, Tiger ensures that Rubik's going to be the one who's punished. And they need to get the Storm out. 0 mana means no fight time anymore.
Yeah, while he does have this Orchids, it feels uncomfortable that they can't really take these fights. I mean, the Chen feels pretty useless right now. He doesn't really have any sort of purpose in this game.
You can kind of feel the desperation, right? Like, you get this Orchid, you immediately want to find value, and your target is a Timber Saw. That's when you know, like, you can feel the pressure. That Na'Vi looking to go, okay, we need to make some sort of play. But instead, the smoke comes out. It's Liquid making the play again.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really awkward. To be honest, this build on the Beastmaster, I really would have enjoyed seeing him like with the start he got there with that double kill. I mean, the overextension was quite silly. I think there was no need for him to walk in there.
Roll it.
He killed it. It's fine.
They silence down the Earth for it, but the silence comes down to Rubik's well. They'll cut him, bring him down with the Mystic Flare, get him low, and they'll cut through to finish him off 1-for-1. Hand of God, too late to save the day, but they turn around Insania as well. They do punish Liquid's aggression in this mid-air of the map, realizing that Timbersaw was sitting top the whole time.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, V2's been very quiet. I think it's the Diffusal now coming out on the career. So he's going to look to get a bit more active here. And this is also one of the nice things to buy, I think, in general, against both Faceless Void and even Timbersaw. I think the fact that you're stealing, these Essence Shift stacks and also the Diffusal, it acts, the Essence Shift acts to some extent like a mana burn too, right? Because you're losing stats, so you're quickly running out of mana. And if you ever find yourself...
The way I've heard it described is like Essence Shift is pure damage, is the other thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's easy for this Void, if you ever presses this Mask of Madness, you may find yourself in a position where you might just lose all your mana.
So far, though, they haven't used the Chrono at all. Like, they're just finding these pickoffs. They have enough lockdown that the Mystic Flare has been finding big value each time. And now the smoke movement, Na'Vi, it's going to break at an awkward point. So they just back away. There's a lot of priority around stopping the side of Liquid from getting their hands on more tier 1 towers.
But I like what Boxy's doing here. Boxy's just posturing up here. He's just standing in front of these heroes. He bought the Soul Booster, so he's going for the Bloodstone. He's just very, very tanky and hard to bring down right now. And the amount of resources you have to invest into killing this Timbersaw, it doesn't really feel like it's going to be worth it, especially if there are heroes in the vicinity.
I've heard some people say they wish they'd bring back the damage count for Timber. Well, he gets away. They need to run. They need to run right now, and they know they'll get out. They're going to keep an eye on him, but it's the Chrono factor. I think they're too scared.
Yeah, I also think they overlap their kind of stuns. I think a Void with this amount of HP, it should be quite easily to bring down, but I think they may have overlapped some of their stuns, or the heroes were not close enough.
They still have the Prime Roar to play with. They're actually going again. They're going to move in. On Mike, stance him up. Pounce fall off as well. Stun control looks decent. We'll get him low. One more hit needed. They'll get it. The Orchid burns him out. Roll. Punishment incoming though. No man left on Storm Spirit. A bit of trouble. They get cut in. Dissimulate to do a dish out a lot of damage. And Iceberg. We'll just go for TV away. The Remnant gets blocked by V2. The Prime Roar comes out. Timber does arrive. He is going to be able to punish Iceberg in time, but now they chase forward in the quick for bringing him down. V2, he has now used the Shadow Dance, but he can hit into box. He forced him away under the tier 2 tower. They'll slow down the pursuit, but will he slow down? It's always want to fly, has stolen the spell away from him. And with this, and with no mana, they thought about it, but Boxy just too tanky at that point. They'll let him get away. Na'Vi, they get the bigger chunk of the pie.
And they're finding some very nice use for the Slark right now. Boxy here might potentially be in trouble now.
It's too thought about sending the message, but decides against them. They do know about Insania, though, by the way. Ooh. I think you can. Don't worry. It's just something's going to get plucked. You can continue your analysis there.
No, I mean the Slark D is off to a very good start. So both cores here, even though despite the Storm having a couple deaths here, he's still feeling okay. He's got the Orchids. He just has to go for probably the trade to BKB, and he's gonna be in tip-top fighting shape. And I think the Slark, he could potentially become a problem here. I really don't like this though. He's once again going with this Manta.
Okay, he's in trouble.
Though.
It's going to be brought down. He's going for a Manta too. Doesn't even get to it. Gets caught out again. And that's probably going to happen 2 or 3 more times before you have the Manta to get out of the Orchid as well. That's the scary part here. And, passive Chrono starting to work against them so far. Is Na'Vi, they play confident into it. They're not scared of it.
He needs to be a lot more careful, I think. Just with the...
Senior brought down in front of the Mystic Flare, but it's too late to save himself. Now Boxy in trouble, trying to Bloodstone up, but too much damage. It's going to be brought down. House also melted by the forces of Na'Vi. They might just think about Roche at this point. I mean, you have the means. You look like a machine.
I mean, Na'Vi, they just got the ball rolling. I mean, now in general, he's almost got the Solar Crest. The Slark, he's getting stronger and stronger. He is still going for this Manta style. It's good against the silences. There's going to be even probably an Aegis here for... I think it's going to be the Storm Spirit.
Most importantly, this Manta timing is probably going to sync up to match and counter out what Quake's building. I mean, he'll get the Ags a little bit sooner, but by the time you're ready to fight now, this Aegis in play, there's going to be more defensive tools available to Na'Vi. And I don't disagree with Quake going for even more silencers necessarily, because it feels like that is screwing them. But my concern is how non-threatening Mike feels in this game.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any sort of kind of plays from this Void, and I think it has to do with the Beastmaster. I think General has been quite good at using the Hawks. I think that's one of the things about this matchup is, Faceless Void wants to show up everywhere and hit creeps, and these Hawks, it's so easy to find them out, right? Like you see the sentries coming out of Liquid just to defend their jungle.
Mania. Yeah, he got a little bit cocky there. Didn't pay the price, had enough mana, just enough to get away back. Obviously, Liquid a little bit paranoid about playing around that mid-area without too much vision.
Yeah, but just the vision game from the Beastmaster is it's quite difficult to deal with for them.
Dire should look to their top tower.
Yeah, because he's always securing the area ahead of time, and then they can just shift as a team. Like that's kind of the awkward part. And it feels like Liquid, they're still in a state where they want to be able to play maybe as 4, and then have Mike off farming somewhere. Once he's got 1 or 2 big items, go together, make a play. It's weird because that's usually what Mr. Big Chrono Man here does after he's used the Chrono. Not with it still off cooldown for 18, well, not 18 minutes, but basically he hasn't used it since he's got level 6.
Yeah, he doesn't really... It feels awkward for him to join these engagements. So he really wants to get to this Manta. He's going to have an Essence Ring now. And once he gets the Essence Ring and the Manta, it's going to be way more difficult to actually bring him down. But Navi are very much in control of this map right now.
Yep, and they're proving it. They find Tiger next. Spirit and Spirit action. Navi once again coming out ahead. 5k net worth lead now. And I mean, this is kind of the power of Beastmasters. Immediately after these kills, you can just go into a push if you want. But they go hunt for Mike again. This time, he's not in the triangle.
Yeah, and while, earlier we were talking about the Shadow Fiend Pinnacle kind of for the CAS region, I think this also the same thing goes for this Chen Beastmaster. I think it's always been there, just the idea of push, the origin of push art style, kind of inventor of push.
Kind of the classic heal. Now what?
Yeah, he kind of brought it into the game. Maybe people pushed before, but catch my drift.
He looked to perfect.
It's always been there. He's the one who kind of embodies it,
Like BZZ with a Pugna set, People just have that. Oh, Mike, no, he gets caught. V-Toon sees, V-Toon destroys, and Mike's Essence Ring will not save him at all.
Yeah, he knew that the pounce was off cooldown, but there's the clumsiness.
Oh, and now forward on the Quake for next. If he gets hit by that clumsy net, he'd be in trouble. Luckily, it's on cooldown for 10 seconds more. Force uses final Astral Step, though, and Insane needs to be a little bit careful because they can turn on V2. Hit up by the Mystic Flare. Stance comes out, but not for long. Dark Pack gets it off, able to move away. Boxy does get out as well. But once again, Liquid just reacting, not able to make any sort of active play. Luckily for them, the lanes are pushed, so Na'Vi don't have a clear objective immediately afterwards this time.
And Liquid's map feels very small for like right now. It's very difficult for these heroes to move out on the lanes. You know, there's the vision of the Chen. There's the divine is it divine favor or the hurdy persuasion. There's the summon, the recall by Chen basically.
Yeah,
just bringing the storm or the Slark around the map, which gives them incredible mobility, coupled with the Hawks or this Beastmaster. The vision game is very strong, and it's very difficult for Liquid to kind of maneuver out on this map.
On. It's just always looking into the void going, are you ready yet? I mean, he's almost got the Manta now, but with the new items coming in, I don't think you're going to have a choice anymore. You're going to have to be ready. But in no way does this Faceless Void feel comfortable in this game right now.
No, and it's, yes, you know, now you are maybe going to be able to survive. You won't just die to this Orchids anymore, but the question is, can you actually deal damage? Their chrono damage is... It's okay-ish. I mean, they have the Skywrath Mage, and they have some damage out of the Earth Spirits, Timbersaw, Chakram, but it's not amazing by any means. You know, their team fight is not incredibly superior. Their high ground defense is not the strongest, so...
They're going to do Thomas Smoke. Silence on Silence. Iceberg catches himself up. He's got that Aegis to play with. Bloodstone's going to keep him up healthy at the moment. But they do get through it, and Remnant is waiting when he comes back up. Senia did have to use the Mystic Flare. Nice use of the Chrono, though. Going to catch on to him in the Chen army as well. He's trying to burst through Iceberg quickly now. He's going to lose the Sky from the backline. Roll through is good. Oh, God, trying to keep him up. Iceberg able to move away. The Prime Raw stun is good enough to turn around and bring Mike low. Trying to move away from this, but he's dead. Time dilation will not save his day. Boxy just being ignored. Quickfire has to cut and run to the side. He's going to turn, try to run through them here. He has brought them low, yes, but they've got enough sustain that now Boxy might be in a world of trouble. He will bring down General, but he needs to get out now. Remnant, off the mark from Always Want to Fly, runs into a different one. Storm Spirit, straight across onto Quake for a nice stance coming out from Tiger to try and protect him. All good follow-up is good so that he can't pursue. With that big fat mana pool, it won't be enough. Quickfire does get out, and in the end, not a bad fight considering you had to get through the Aegis first.
Yeah, at the same time, though, you know, V-Tune survives. And Mika dies, and you can see kind of the difference between these two right now. It's almost 5k gold difference between these two. Also, the Slark getting close to 18. This matchup is, I mean, it's not what it used to be, but also when the Slark is this far ahead, it's not a very comfortable matchup at all for the Faceless Void. Like I was mentioning earlier, you know, he went for this Diffusal, and I mean, the Manta, to some extent, it actually kind of makes sense when you think about the Diffusal. It just... You jump on the Void, you Manta the Diffusal, and if he loses all his mana, the hero is completely worthless. He doesn't have the best mana pool to begin with, so...
No, it makes more sense in this game than last game when Beast did this building. Give him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, it's so much more of an aggressive tool, rather than just a defensive tool. That's why it feels way better.
Goes in on Senia, purges off the stance, and whacks him down. This is the weakness of the Skyrack. You get to this stage in the game, and if you don't have any way of counter-initiating, you know, you're just an easy edible chicken for your enemies. See the hesitation.
They're in complete control of this map at the end of the game right now.
Quake, but that was a little bit too close for comfort. I actually checked both sides of where he TP'd. He does get out. My kind of concern is you've got Boxy as the one kind of out farming, looking for something. He has now got this Lois, but it feels like the hero that's getting the most gold in your team isn't necessarily a hero who's going to get the biggest power spike off the next big item.
No, it is very difficult for Timbersaw to actually carry in a game like this. You would have to get so many items. At some point, I mean, this would become an amazing Timbersaw game if he does get to 2 or 3 more items. But, you know, we're quite far away from there, and Navi are kind of mounting this push. It's imminent doom, you know, the feeling of Liquid right now. They're just going to wait for this next Roche. There's going to be an Aegis once again on the Storm, who's getting closer to his BKB. The Slark, he has the Basher working towards the Abyssal. It's just more and more control.
They got the control to kill this Timber, but looks of it, the Basher's come out. The lockdown is good. Caught away from the creep wave, even with the reactive armor up. It's not enough to keep him in the game. That does mean that Mika gets his early warning trying to go away, but it's too late. Oh, no! They were mid-animation. That was a squeaky bum time moment for Mika there, but he does get away.
Yeah, while it's very comfortable for Timber to be this tanky boy, when you're actually getting surrounded by the Navi lineup, and especially the Slark, you kind of wish it didn't take you so long to die, just giving away all these Essence Shift stacks. And, you know, once should Slark get to level 25, those are gonna just stack up even more.
Still, you get to the stage in the game where you can say late on the game, a one good chrono can kind of turn it all. And that is kind of true that like the weakness of Navi's lineup can be these chronos, right? Because they're very much about getting in and out, like doing your damage in a few seconds, then retreating, coming again. If you can catch a good chrono, there's potential there. It's just the question mark of like who is the primary target and do you really have the damage to follow through?
I think for them to be able to later on in this game to be able to take fights, I mean, they need to be able to bring down the Chen plus whatever core is there, because otherwise you can just rely on buybacks. You can just play with these buybacks. The Chen just brings you back into the fight. I mean, especially Storm Spirit is kind of the best option to do this with, right? He just goes in. It basically works like an Aegis. You just jump into the fight. You can, you know, use all your resources, and should you die, you can just buy back. Chen brings you back into the game. You come in with full resources.
I mean, his whole kit is just lethal in this game, right? It's not just the recall. Like, he's the one with the Glimmer Cape. If you actually look at Liquid's damage breakdown, it's, what, I'd say like 90% magical at this point.
Yeah, their damage is very limited with this Chen in the game. Both the mech and the Hand of God, you know, the heal. It's some 700 heal to pretty much all units. It's just, if you look at the damage from Liquid, it's not really there.
No. I'm going to be there for a while. Right now, the name of the game for Liquid is survival. You got to kind of drag this layer. It doesn't feel good against the Storm and Slark, sure, but you need pickoffs. If you find them as a group, you're in trouble. You can already see that they're spotted out here. The pings come out. Koikfer is still going in, though. He needs to be careful. They've got Blink moving in. Lift's going to be there. Follow-up stance comes down insane. Need to control him. And there's the jump in with the Abyssal. Koikfer brought down, burnt down, and killed off. Foxy just being ignored as they chase deeper. They'll find Insane here as well. Tiger trying to escape, but nope. Iceberg's magic meaning he can't block the rollout. They do find the kill to Foxy, however. And just outside of Liquid's base, it looks like it's sieging time.
And now the Slark, you know, with the Inner Beast, the Solar Crest, the additional agility. He's sitting at some 160 agility. They're just gonna go back for the Roche. They wasted the glyph.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's just looking very grim for Liquid right now.
No,
They need to get they need to get so much more damage. They need to be able to kill some of these heroes. You see in the fight, Timber gets to initiate upon Rubik, but he's nowhere even close to killing this Rubik, who has the Essence Ring. All of these heroes are just so tanky.
You know, I'm looking for the Liquid heroes. Like, okay, well, you know, Spirit Vessel, you know, Clouds of Gold, Tiger will have that. Is that going to be enough? Not really. They have good ways of dealing with it. Then you're just looking at this MKB. I feel like this whole game, if you're a Liquid fan, has been looking at Mike and wondering what's next. When's it going to happen? You know, we've seen miraculous things out of Faceless Voids time and time again over the years, but you're going to need to pull more than one miracle out of your ass in this one.
Yeah, I think it kind of feels like the Void is just, you know, he's just always one or two items behind, and there he is, just one lift. Oh, he does get out.
Lotus protects. Foxy is there, savior of Liquid, but not for long enough. They move in now. Looks like they got him. They can stun lock him good. Bring him down. Dead for 50 seconds. Tiger used the magnetize, but he's netted up. He's not getting away. Just outside of the base. The worst place to have this happen to you is they can push him on the high ground now.
Yeah, now you can see it. It's the Aegis on the Storm Spirit. He has pretty much 3 lives here at this point with the Chen. And also the Slark with the cheese. It's just... I don't know that there's a way in which Liquid can hold this.
Alright, we've reached that point, Pycat. How did they get them in the fountain?
How do they get them in the fountain? Okay, so let's theorycraft this. There's an Earth Spirit, right? So the Earth Spirit could potentially roll enough times to push some of these heroes towards the fountain. Maybe the pull, the remnant.
Yeah. Then Chrono on the edge. Then the wait at the end, you bat them in further.
Right.
We've got it. Okay, so yeah, you just need roll in, bat, then Remnant plus Athos. Then
corral
bat.
them towards the enemy fountain. You know, like bait them in far enough. Just maybe drop an item or two in front of their faces. Just hope they
just leave them a trail of trees. Ooh, a ward. Ooh, another ward. Oh, a Faceless Void. I'm pretty sure if we had access to like a depth heat map, Mike has died there probably 4 times now, and they'll also lose Boxy in the base. Like, I'm surprised Liquid haven't tapped out yet, because this is looking ruthless.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their intentions of staying in this game are. I think there's very little
one
you can
big
do at this
chrono.
point.
Like they've switched on Eminem's best tracks. They're like one chrono, it'll turn it all. Just don't know if it's going to be enough at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
The good
it's
news
sort of
is they have a tier 2 bot. That is the good news, actually. So they can get bullied for another few minutes at least.
they can go for some sort of, wait for the Void. He's gonna get his level 18 here, the longest of Chronos, and they can go for some sort of fight here. Hope that the Aegis expires. Try to take a fight. Catch 5 heroes in the Chrono, Chakram onto all 5 of them, and they might kill someone.
So you're suggesting that Liquid be given access to console commands and be allowed to spawn a Darkseer so they can get all the heroes together with Chakra?
I think if Liquid could just now, like, if they spawned, like, I don't know, 3 Roshes to fight for them, I'm not even sure that would actually be enough at this point. There's now a sight on Iceberg.
Yeah, and he's had that enchant quiver for the last fight as well. It just dishes out so much damage. Movement in, Sun's going to come out. BKB was used. He used the Hex now, rolling. Tiger, he's trying to break up the fight and keep them away from re-engagement. V2's going to get crossed, though. They do bring down the Void. He's dead again. Alongside Tiger, Insane will be melted through as well as the GG comes out. They finally submit. It is defeat. It is a 1-1 storyline. We're going to need to go to game 3.
Yeah, I mean, if they had those 3 Roshes right in that fight, a couple of stomps, a couple of slaps, some bashes here and there. No, but I mean, they just got way too far behind. I think the Faceless Void, I think he got caught off guard way too many times. He was, yeah, like you said, he died multiple times in that same kind of triangle area, right? Just kept getting picked off by the Beastmaster, the Hawk, and they kind of just lost their advantage when they let the Slark come into the game and just beat down some of these heroes.
I think that was just generally the story, like the Slark Faceless Void comparison, and the really big difference is no matter like how this would have turned out, V2 definitely netted himself a participation ribbon, and even more so with 1307 finishing with KDA. Whereas Mike, he doesn't really even get a participation ribbon in this one. It felt like every time Liquid got an item and they should be able to make a player's 5 and Chrono's off cooldown, Mike is just sitting there looking for the next item.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's pretty awkward with their lineup is the fact that they're incredibly heavily invested into magical damage. It's pretty much only the Void that has physical damage, and they don't really have, he doesn't have any wave clear on the Faceless Void, and they give him this lane where it's going to be pretty much a very rough lane because the Skywrath doesn't have any sort of wave clear. So I really didn't like the Sky pick because it doesn't help the Void in the lane, and he's sort of going to be the big boy in this game. He's supposed to be the big boy for them in the game, and they gave him sort of a shit lane. I think that makes their game quite difficult.
Feels like the story of the series so far. Game 1, V2, we kind of focused on that Manta purchase, how that didn't work out. Game 2 now, a question of if Mike's keyboard is missing an R key or not. Hopefully game 3, we're going to see flawless, almost flawless, because someone will have to lose performances out of both POS ones. And we're going to get a very close game here. And all that could happen after a short break.